All right, here we go. It is Thursday. It's morning where my man Chris is. It's afternoon where I am. I am here, of course, in Pee Wee's Playhouse today. And why? Because it's fun. Fun is the name of the company, Scarce City. Fun is what I think of when I think about a really unique, cool, awesome company that we have invested in previously and we're making up for it today. It was one of our fastest Lightning Ventures deals that we did. We actually filled the allocation in a day and we're doubling down again. We didn't even get to do a video last time. So we're doing one today. I'm here with Chris, co-founder and CEO. And before we get rolling, okay, Scarce City is so cool and so unique. And they have since developed a number of other revenue generating commerce products that are also super fun and cool. And one of my favorite things about Scarce City is they don't take themselves too seriously. They like to have fun. If you've been to the last three Bitcoin conferences, the last three in Miami, they had an amazing art gallery for all of them. If you were just at this last one, it was pretty over the top. And they did an art gallery, a smaller collection for our Unconfiscatable conference in Las Vegas. And I believe they had a show in Lugano not too long ago. And they've since developed other things like an AI marketplace. It's called SatsCrap.com. We're going to have some fun talking about SatsCrap. A streetwear brand, really cool. It's called Pepe Flyers. Their first drop was some shoes. I did get myself, there they are. I did get myself a pair of those, all right, for the museum. I have not worn them, the Pepe Flyers. And now they're releasing something called Board City, which is live. And we're going to go into that too. So before I talk all over this darn thing, Chris, how are you today? Where are you today?
Mike, I'm doing great, man. It's great to be here with you. I am in the Midwest in my new location here. I escaped from New York City and stoked to be here, man. Just excited to tell you about everything we're doing at Scarce City.
I had a chance to hang out with Chris a few times in New York City. If you were there, they did at least two, I think three. I was only at two that I know of. They did two pop-up art galleries in Tribeca and the in-person auctions and everything that they do there. Both Chris and Arian, the two co-founders, were from New York City. Arian's a Queens guy. I don't know if you'll ever be able to get him out of Queens. And Chris just relocated there like the rest of us. He's exodus from New York City. So, all right. So we're talking about Scarce City and we're talking about art. We're talking about an auction house similar to a Sotheby's or a Christie's, that type of model for not only Bitcoin art, but really cool art. That's physical art, that's digital art. Some of my favorite Scarce City stuff that I've seen are these really intricate little cool physical handmade, like felt little pennants. They got a lot of Pepe stuff going on and just really cool, unique stuff that sells for a heck of a lot more than you might think. And they've done a tremendous amount of revenue. They are a perfect example of a company that can build and bootstrap. Okay. This is not raise a bunch of money to buy themselves some runway. They've only raised one round and it was a rather small round. So all of these products that they've come out with, we're going to dive into each of them, has been launched with hardly any funding, which says a lot about the webmaster Arian, who's not joining us today, but you may have seen his baby face behind the table there in Miami. He had that really cool hat on. All right. Before I talk all over this, Chris, why don't you give us a little overview on Scarce City, why you started it, and the overall mission of the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started Scarce City over 3 years now, 3 years ago now. And the mission was to create a marketplace that supports Bitcoin culture and adoption. At the time, we saw the Ethereum marketplaces launching, and I'm a Bitcoiner at heart, and I wanted to, what can we do for Bitcoin? There were so many great Bitcoin creators in the space. And I saw several of them going to the Ethereum ecosystem because that's where they could make money. And it just didn't feel right. It wasn't authentic. So I wanted to see what we could do that was authentic to Bitcoin. So we started testing around about 3 years ago, and we came up with our first kind of core innovation with the help of our community, which was to basically under collateralize auction bids with Bitcoin. And doing this made it so it's just super easy to participate in an auction as long as you have a little bit of Bitcoin. So the way this works is you go to one of our auctions, you input how much you want to bid. We just need an email address to go along with that. And then you're directed to pay an invoice in Bitcoin that's 1 to 5% of your actual bid. We've learned through our experience of doing nearly 2,000 auctions now. That's enough to keep auction bidders accountable for actually paying their bid. And it just makes for a super easy user experience. It's the easiest way to get onboarded onto an auction. There's no registration or login that's required. We built onto that over the past 3 years, adding new features, making it easier to participate, adding new types of auction formats and sale formats. And we've also strapped on a marketplace for fixed price items on top of that. That's for physical artworks and collectibles, as well as digital stuff. And of course, everything we do that's digital is on Bitcoin. So we support the counterparty protocols. We support ordinals now, and we look forward to supporting any and all coin based protocols that our collectors and artists appreciate. So that's where we are with Scarce.City. It's been a wild ride. Supporting the Bitcoin creator ecosystem is so much fun. Our community is the best. We've ridden up the bull market and we've come down with the bear market and still going strong. Last quarter, our best quarter yet, thanks to a lot of exciting things we have going on. And just looking forward to building this thing, and can only imagine what the next bull market's going to bring for us there.
The luxury goods market, the art market, obviously risk assets like Bitcoin have had a very tough time. And your sales have been great through what would otherwise be a terrible time, which is awesome. So that's also, in case you're curious, 8 out of 10 quarters posting profitability with great numbers. Okay, so there's auctions going on all the time. Okay, there's auctions going on now. There's auctions going on when there's conferences, when there's not. And I just want to scroll through a few of these here. This is Scarce.City. And you have obviously these show better in person. A lot of these type of things here, like this block watch. And there's auctions going on all year. And it's amazing to me that you guys go where the artists that I wasn't a big fan of. First off, I've never had a Pepe. I think Arian sent me one once in El Salvador. It wasn't worth anything. But the market for that, like maybe you guys have a series of 5 that somebody puts up for auction that sells for a crazy amount of money, right? Maybe it's the first 5 or whatever. But it's what about liquid for NFTs? What about ordinals? What about everything? And you told me, you said, Mike, it ultimately matters like where the artists want to go. And they chose Counterparty early on with the rare Pepes. And now we're seeing stuff move into the ordinals market. What do you see as far as like future for Bitcoin and this stuff? Do you think ordinals is going to be it?
It's a super interesting question, and it's evolving so quickly. The market for Bitcoin art and collectibles, it's unlike anything I've experienced. It's unlike anything that's on the other chains and crypto. It's really just like all of these different disparate projects, artists, communities coming together, and they all have their different maybe digital protocols they use, maybe they're physical only, and they have their own communities. But the commonality is that they're all on Bitcoin. They all fundamentally believe in Bitcoin. And we are aimed on bringing the buyers and sellers within those communities together in the best optimal way, whether it's auctions, whether it's fixed price marketplaces. And look, this is just beginning, and it's really starting to accelerate. It did just start with physical art and collectibles. The Casacious coins have been around since the Satoshi days, have been traded on forums since the Satoshi days. Bitcoin artists have been devoting all their creativity to creating physical Bitcoin artworks also since the very early days. Counterparty sprung up in 2014. It's one of the first ways to create quote unquote NFTs, even though that term didn't exist at that time. And there's been multiple waves of excitement using Counterparty, specifically the Rare Pepe project that ran from 2016 to 2018, and the renaissance that Fake Rare project started 2 years ago. But now we're seeing a whole new wave of projects. Of course, ordinals came out of nowhere this year, and we were perfectly positioned to provide the marketplace and auction house for that. And it is very exciting to watch. I've never seen developers get so excited about building infrastructure on Bitcoin. And I'm just can't wait to see how they smooth the user experience and infrastructure on all ends. We also have new projects booming out of the physical space on Bitcoin. Bitcoin trading cards. Another one, it feels like it came out of nowhere, but Aladdin, the creator or co-creator, has been grinding on it for years. It's physical only trading cards, and tried and true collectible is certainly trading cards. And he's devoted trading cards to Bitcoin and celebrating the most important moments in Bitcoin, the most important memes in Bitcoin, the most important influencers in Bitcoin. And just a huge community has gone absolutely nuts for it. It's an amazing product. And we're a huge supporter of them. We're doing auctions with them on a bi-weekly basis. We're building a fixed price marketplace for them. So it feels we can never know how this is going to go over the next month or two. It's super volatile, as you mentioned. It's volatile on top of Bitcoin's engraved volatility. But as long as Bitcoin adoption increases as we expect it to, there's going to be more and more creators doing more and more unique and interesting things. And there's going to be more collectors that value these things. And we're the marketplace for all of them. We don't try to pick winners. We let the communities decide, the collectors, the artists decide what's interesting to them. And we support them as long as it aligned with our mission to support Bitcoin culture and adoption.
So yeah, these are some of these Bitcoin trading cards for those who don't know, and they're selling for what I find to be quite a bit of money. This is 5.5 million sats for this Greg Boss card here. I'm so bummed I didn't buy one of these darn things. And I'm scrolling back on this very active Twitter feed to try and find some stuff from Miami. There's been there were so many great pictures there of the physical stuff. They had a piece that was probably the size of maybe half a tennis court that was on the wall there. And then they have very small stuff too, but really amazing stuff. Man, these trading cards are hot though lately. Okay.
And you're in the Miami section there if you want to keep
Yeah, there we
scrolling.
go. They really took over Miami, and all the artists were there. You had a chance to meet them all. Okay. As far as the bids go, a lot of people don't realize it. It's rather technical. It's rather a technical process that Scarce City has here. Now, is that the same thing that's a HODL invoice? Is that the same type of deal for the auction process?
We don't use HODL invoices. And for those who don't know, HODL invoices are lightning invoices, aren't accepted by the recipient until there's an actual physical confirmation. And they're not confirmed, they're routed back to the sender. We don't use that. We actually just use BTC Pay Server at the moment because it is also important for us to support on-chain payments, especially in this high fee environment. The easiest and cheapest way to bid on an auction and pay a small deposit is on Lightning, but many of our collectors still use on-chain Bitcoin. And we have other ways to bid too, where you don't necessarily have to deposit Bitcoin with every single bid. For example, what we have set up now is if you have 1 million sats deposited with Scarce City, you have what we call Satoshi mode. You can bid on any auction. You can list in our marketplace freely without having to deposit additional Bitcoin. So ultimately what we're aiming for is, of course, we want to be authentic to Bitcoin, and that unlocks different privacy features. But most importantly, just using Bitcoin unlocks a really easy user experience that is not matched anywhere else in crypto or anywhere else in traditional e-commerce.
Okay. I know that they have a lot of fun, and I like to have a lot of fun with them, but their revenue is no joking matter. 2022 full year sales, about 145 Bitcoin. That's a lot of Pepes. All right. That's a lot. That's a lot of sats. Absolutely really great. And then they launched SatsCrap, which we're going to get into now. What was the inspiration for SatsCrap? Did you find that you had a lot of people outside of artwork, outside of the art stuff, because they have to apply, right? Scarce City isn't just, you can't just sell anything, right? So somebody comes to you and they have art that they want to submit for auction, right? That is the deal, right? You accept every piece of art that you're curating. How does that work?
our auctions are curated and to different extents. Some of our featured auctions we heavily curate. We actually have a creator group and artists have to be voted into that creator group. And when they're in there, they get special perks. They get the featured auction at the top of the homepage. But we have other collections of auctions. For example, one that we call the Bazaar, which we like to keep really lightly curated. Anything that seems somewhat interesting to us that we think any potential bidder could find interesting and has some connection to Bitcoin, we're happy to support there. But yes, to your point, Mike, everything is curated to some extent, but it's even lighter in our fixed price marketplace. If you want to list something, whether it's physical art, collectible, or digital collectible on Bitcoin, you can do that in our fixed price marketplace for relatively little curation. But yes, back to your original question, through our submissions process, we were occasionally receiving submissions for items that just have nothing to do with Bitcoin. And the way we look at it is as Bitcoin adoption increases, Bitcoin commerce will become relevant for more and more items. But we're still in that kind of first early stage where a lot of the commerce is focused around Bitcoin art and collectibles. Of course, as we look out a stage or two, I think it's just obvious that there will be a marketplace, there will be a product that supports commerce for all types of items, whether or not they're related to Bitcoin, but sales will be in Bitcoin. And the primary value here is for the sellers who want to earn Bitcoin. I think we named this SatsCrap, sell your crap for sats, because we believe that eventually everybody comes to the point where they realize that they don't have enough sats and they have too much crap. So we want to be the marketplace for them where they can come and list their crap for sats. And we're using our core innovation here that we developed at Scarce City. So to list something on SatsCrap, you don't have to register for an account. You don't have to log in. You don't have to link a bank account. You could be anywhere in the world and you simply create a listing. You pay a small listing deposit, which is 10%, 5 to 10% of the price you're listing for. And boom, your item is available for sale to anyone. And they pay for Bitcoin. You receive sats for your credit. And we're really just getting started with this. It's only been soft launched and there's so much work to do here. But what's super interesting now with the advancements in AI is that we can use a lot of this cutting edge frontier technology. So already, if you create a listing, when you put in the title, we use ChatGPT to automatically generate a category and description, which of course you can edit. The next step here is that you can pull up your phone, you can go to satscrap.com, you can take a picture of anything that's around you, and we will use image recognition technology to automatically generate not just the description and category, but also the title and suggested price for selling this item. And if you're good with that, you just confirm that the details are correct. You're directed to pay an invoice. If you have a Lightning wallet on your phone, it's 2 clicks to pay that invoice, and boom, your item's up for sale. It's being sold for sats. We're already SatsCrap with very little we've done is already by far the easiest way to sell something on the internet. When we add these AI pipes in, it's just going to be 10x plus easiest way to sell anything on the internet, and you're earning Bitcoin in exchange. So really excited about the potential of this. Again, this marketplace is going to exist. Someone's going to do this and it's going to be huge if Bitcoin keeps doing what it's doing. And we feel like we're very well positioned to do it, not just with the traction and experience we've gained along the way, but with our core technology that we've developed at Scarce City.
So what's the rev share on this? And for people who are just listening, I'm scrolling through a lot of people's stuff that is for sale. And it's a potpourri of just about everything that you can imagine. There's a couple of art things in here. There's random books. There's Bitcoin related stuff. There's some vinyl records here that someone has, a pair of Nike shoes. It's literally just anything. And I believe it's 5 clicks and you can sell anything from start to finish, which is really cool. Yeah. How do you deal with the shipping, by the way? Is that something that's after the fact, or does it automatically calculate where it's going, or does everyone put in their own info there?
So we've gained a lot of experience in shipping physical items through Scarce City as well. We never hold inventory on anything, with a couple of exceptions. The seller sends directly to the buyer, and we have different ways of keeping the seller accountable for actually delivering the goods as they say they will. So on Scarce City, it's mostly reputation. It's all of these creators, they have their artists, they have social media presences, and that's enough to keep them accountable. In some cases, we do require collateral from artists that don't have that reputation. On SatsCrap, it's completely anonymous at this point. So we go completely off of collateral. You put down your listing deposit, and if something sells, you are accountable for delivering it according to the description provided and according to our terms of service. There are specific packaging requirements, for example, and we do require that sender send, or we recommend that they require signature upon delivery just to minimize the chance of fraud there. Shipping can either be free shipping globally, it can be free domestic shipping, or we automatically calculate the estimated shipping cost and the buyer is responsible for paying that if the seller chooses that.
So this is the AI eBay-like alternative for Bitcoiners. It's super fun. It's got a vibrant community. It's taken on a life of its own. Bootstrapped as another product of Scarce City. By the way, this is a really good deal on this app for anyone who may be interested, but a really cool place to go to buy anything, completely random stuff. And I love the fact of how random it is. You want a 1992 Ted Williams baseball card, or maybe you need a new grinder. All right. But whatever you need, it's here, and you can use Bitcoin KYC free or no registration required, however you want to say that. But this is SatsCrap and really cool. And this just came about last year. So we have the core business, right? Scarce City, and then SatsCrap. And then here we go. Pepe flyers. Okay. I remember you showed me the prototype. It was so cool. But can you talk a little bit about the inspiration behind it and what you were doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, on Scarce City, Pepe's are a big part of what we sell. Pepe's not only is it the oldest meme of the digital age, originally created on MySpace and it's taken on many forms adopted by many groups. Ultimately, it's a meme. It's whatever anyone wants it to represent. And you can't go anywhere on the internet without seeing Pepe in some form. What a lot of people maybe don't realize is that the first tokenized form of Pepe was on Bitcoin using the counterparty protocol. Again, the rare Pepe project that started in 2016. And of course, Pepe has taken on many different forms and many other tokenized forms that are, outside the Bitcoin ecosystem. But the point is that Pepe is the most popular meme of the digital age. It's everywhere. And because it's so popular, it makes the perfect brand. So we've learned a lot from selling not just digital Pepes, but also physical form Pepes. And what we think is really interesting, and also what we've learned from using from Scarce City, is the intersection between the digital and the physical. So these Pepe flyers here, they have a chip. They have a special chip in the tongue of the left shoe, and you scan this with your phone, NFC enabled, and you can verify that it holds a specific token, the Pepe Flyers V1 token. And you can look up this Pepe Flyers V1 token on the Block Explorer and see that there's only 121 of these tokens. So if you have one, you are part of the 121 club. There's only going to be 121 pairs of these shoes that have this chip, and it acts as a certificate of authenticity. Now, it also unlocks a couple of other cool things. We do a lot of events, as you talked about, Mike. We do our events in Miami. We do our New York City event. It's our third year doing that. We were all over Europe last year. We have a bunch of events planned for this year. And the Pepe community loves coming to these events. And it's also great. It's just great to bring everybody together. So what Pepe Flyers does, it adds extra incentive and extra reward for our customers to show up to our events. If you came to our NYC event, for example, and you're a Pepe Flyers customer, you got a free airdrop digital token. You also got our free Pepe Flyers socks. And we can do this by you show up at the event with your shoes. We scan your shoes. We have the address to send any digital drop to, and it just adds for a nice bonus, adds a cool flair for bringing people together, which is a big part of what we do. Really excited about the potential with Pepe Flyers, the biggest meme of the digital age, the potential for the biggest brand. We are materializing it in physical and digital form. And there's potential to reach the entire Pepe community, which is, it's not one community at this point, it's multiple communities spread all across the internet. And these people they love Pepe, man. And they just want to not only own their digital Pepes, they want to wear Pepe. They want to represent it in every form. So we feel like Pepe Flyers, if done right, has the potential to be a massive high-end streetwear brand.
Well, and it's also fun. Okay. It's also a really fun streetwear brand. And so, as far as this is a limited edition, Chris does not have a background in sneakers or producing sneakers. They're a very high quality item, though. I will say that. Super impressed. And shoes is hard. Okay. You have a lot of different sizes. There's a lot of things to think about. But they sold out in how long? How long did it take you to sell all of them?
We sold 121 pairs in 3 days, and total sales was over 1.5 Bitcoin by all standards, very premium sneaker prices.
Cool. And what else? Does this open the door for shirts, apparel, soft goods, hats? I love the fact that you didn't just go 80 and just go with 100 different products, right? It's not like there's 30 SKUs and 12 shirts and 9 hats. Like, you did one limited run of the shoes, you sold them all in 3 days, and that's it. And now you're on pause until the next thing, which you probably can't talk about. But what are some of the other plans coming down the line that you may be able to talk about? Do you have a target date for maybe a second drop of something else?
Yeah, ultimately, we see this as full and streetwear brand, not just physical, but digital. One of the next projects, or the next big project we have coming out for Pepe Flyers, is actually trading cards. Pepe Flyers themed basketball cards, but not just trading cards in physical form that you open up with a pack, but they also have a digital component. So we throw in a Sats card in with your pack, so you have the digital token for each of the cards that you're receiving in the pack. It's an experiment. It's a cool thing we want to try. But the point is, this is not just physical products, it's also digital. And there's so much we can do in that space, especially as this technology develops. Of course, we have a Pepe Flyers D2 drop planned in the next, let's say, few months. We had these things on display in Miami, and just for customers to pick up, they weren't even for sale because they'd already sold out. And people were coming up to us nonstop, just asking, trying to buy the shoes off us. Like, your shoes were on display, and I can't tell you how many people I had to turn away from trying to buy your shoes. So we know there's a lot of demand out there. Now, our priority is we want to get someone to actually run this brand, someone with experience in running this type of brand, someone who knows the Pepe community. And again, not the single Pepe community, all the Pepe communities, and knows the right way to reach and engage those audiences. We want to get someone in the seat to run this brand who really knows what they're doing and can dedicate their full attention and energy into making this just a massive global powerhouse. So that's our top priority there. We'd really like to get this person in the seat before we go full throttle with the next product releases. But the sky's the limit, man. There's no limit on the different products, physical or digital, that Pepe Flyers can offer.
Yeah, we're going to get in a little bit about the use of funds here. And from an investment perspective and all that other boring stuff, we haven't even touched on it because there's so many cool things about this business that I find really interesting and fun. And by the way, I did used to own a retail store in Arizona once upon a time. And brands like Supreme, with a line around the block that can sell a t-shirt that probably costs about $6.50 to produce for a couple $100. There's a lot of money when you do the streetwear stuff. So that gets us finally to Ord City. Okay. Which is the primary reason or driver behind this small tranche, this little fundraise that you're putting together. So let's hear it now. Ordinals came on the scene. And by the way, for any founders and builders and people out there, Chris and Arian did not waste any time. Ordinals came out, a marketplace developed, and they grabbed the lion's share of it immediately. Okay. We're not talking about picks and shovels. We're not talking about ways to handle inscriptions and all of those kind of infrastructure type of deals. But as far as a marketplace, okay, bringing people together for buyers and sellers and creating a platform, they grabbed it immediately. And it's just another testament to how on top of everything going on with art, both physical and digital, Scarce dot city is. I like to say Scarce City. I don't usually say dot. I got to tell you. All right. So let's talk about Ord City or Ord dot city and what your plans are here with this.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mike. First of all, the reason why we were so quick to market wood ordinals is, yeah, of course, we're hustling, but it's also because the fundamental way our auction house and marketplace is set up. We don't have to build special wallet integrations or really any real heavy lifting technology to support new products, whether they're physical or digital, because of our collateral system that keeps buyers and auction bidders and marketplace sellers accountable. We're ready to go. The infrastructure is already there. We just have to add a new product line. So I think we were the first auctions to start supporting ordinal inscriptions outside of the Discord chats or whatever. And yeah, ordinals was crazy. Like February, March were our biggest months by far in sales. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but record breaking across the board. Again, it's super interesting because it's bringing out the developers. The developers are building out the infrastructure, which we just haven't seen elsewhere in Bitcoin. And I'm just a huge believer of following the developers. They are going to create the compounded returns on ease of use and functionality. It's like still very much primordial stoop stage of what's possible with ordinals. I think we're just getting started here. But as long as this developer trend continues, there's going to be, it's just going to be a huge ecosystem. So we're positioning ourselves to be front and center in that ecosystem with Ord.city. We want to focus on the premium sales of ordinal inscriptions. The art, I'm not talking about the BRC20 tokens. That's just not what we do. But the art side of it, the actual inscriptions that feature media, we want to be the premium auction house, which means a lot elsewhere fees going to zero for these things throughout the ecosystem. That's not what we do because we bring the premium service of price discovery through our auctions. We make it as easy as possible for people to participate in our auctions so sellers get the best price they can. And because of that, we're able to defend our premium fees. Again, just getting started here. We're doing regular ordinal inscription auctions. We have a marketplace for them and just excited to support all of the creators that are having a ton of fun with ordinal inscriptions.
All right, Chris, listen, I have to ask you, buddy, because I don't know if I'm hallucinating here or what is going on. Did somebody really pay 67.5 million sats for this right here?
They did. I can't tell you for sure that it was Satoshi because they didn't work to create that name. But yeah, absolutely. Look, this is inscription number 832. The collectors have gone nuts for the early inscriptions. And for those who don't know, inscriptions are numbered in sequence. The first inscription was actually inscription 0, inscribed by Casey, the creator of ordinals. And then it went on in sequence 1, 2, 3, and so on. I think they're up to 10 million now. The way collectors look at this is they say, okay, ordinals are going to be important. Inscriptions are going to be important. The earliest inscriptions are the actual artifacts here. And as long as ordinals become more important, the early inscriptions will be considered more important and valuable over time. So that's the stage of the market. Look, and one other point with ordinal that I think is important to call out. It's brought in so many people from outside of the core Bitcoin collector community, from the DGens, call them what you will. They've gone nuts for the ordinal inscriptions. And ultimately, I think that's a good thing. It's more Bitcoin adoption. It's more energy in Bitcoin. It's more attention on Bitcoin, which supports the ecosystem overall.
Wow. So it's not necessarily about this here. It's about that this was an early inscription. Is that what you feel gives this so much value from a collector's perspective?
It's certainly a big part of it. Now, the media is important too. And there's new things you can do with the media, right? So like the first inscription that features a song or any type of music file, or the first animated inscription, the first generative art inscription. Those types of things are also highly valued. But look, ultimately, the art is important too. Collectors, they want to collect art that they enjoy looking at. So it's another component, but So far with the encryption ecosystem, it's really the early numbers that attracts a lot of attention.
To some controversy, I know Bitcoin Magazine did a lot of inscriptions recently with, I believe, the covers and some other things. This sold for 13.5 million sats. How much has Bitcoin Magazine utilized the Scarce City platform for their sales?
We have a strong partnership with Bitcoin Magazine. And I should point out with this Halfini inscription, all proceeds, 100% proceeds went to this research. It's one of many sales that we've done in partnership with ALS Golden West to support ALS. It's a big part of what we do at Scarce City. We want to contribute to the Bitcoin ecosystem, even the broader Bitcoin ecosystem, and support those in need. We did a huge sale for Hollow Knot at the end of last year and helped him with his legal fees. And we're always looking for those opportunities. Free Ross, also in Miami, we did some big sales for him as well. So look, yeah, Bitcoin Media or the BTC Magazine, Bitcoin, BTC Media, Bitcoin Magazine, tremendous partner of ours. We've partnered with them at the Miami conference for the past 3 years. We were in Amsterdam with them last year. In the meantime, we've partnered with them on numerous sales. They led the Hollow Knot collection of auctions we did last year. We did a collection of fake magazine covers with them last year. A huge partner for us, and it's just it's the perfect match. They do events, they do media. All of that blends so well together with actual commerce.
Okay, so we've been on this for 41 minutes now, and we can't sit here and chat all day. So, how about some nitty gritty stuff? Now, let's go through real quick. I'm an artist. I want to sell something that I made either in person, if I'm lucky enough to, right, to make it into one of your collections, but I want to sell something on Scarce City. What's the revenue model? What are my fees? How does that work? Can I set a reserve? Is there, I've never sold anything on there. I'm not an artist, but can you just walk through how that works with your revenue?
Sure, we take a fee on every sale. It's real simple. Now, the fee ranges depending on what the item is. Some digital items, frankly, are just easier to sell because we're not dealing with meats and atoms. So there tends to be a lower fee on digital items and higher fee for physical items. But it just ranges depending on specific details of the sale and item. Again, we have different options for sellers. We have our auctions. We have our fixed price marketplace. If it's Bitcoin related, we have Scarce City. If it's not Bitcoin related, we have SatsCrap, which by the way, we will be adding auctions to SatsCrap as well. So it depends what the item is and where we feel like it fits best, but there's a destination for everything at this point that we can support. Things like reserve. I'm frankly a no reserve maximalist when it comes to auctions. Again, we've done 2,000 of these auctions and no reserve auctions. The true free market deciding the price, which is ultimately, I think the best way to run an auction. If you are dead set on a reserve, then that we point people to the fixed price marketplace because, that's where you should go if you have a specific price in mind. The point here is though, we have a sale format for everybody and the fees, while they work very well for us, they're very fair in comparison to whatever alternatives are out there.
So we're going to try and run through some things quickly just for fun here. So across all of all the brands here, this will give you a good idea that they pretty much cover the entire space as far as arts and collectibles. The Ord City, which is the newest in e-commerce with an eBay comp there, and then apparel and accessories. And 300 Bitcoin in sales is really nothing to shake a stick at. That's some pretty serious volume with 2,000 auctions. So just to bring everyone up to speed, Ord City in only just a few months saw over 40 Bitcoin in sales. Okay. Think about that. All right. That's a lot. And we're just in the very beginning. We have some report from Galaxy Digital. They're expecting it to be tens of billions of dollars in the not too distant future. So that's pretty exciting. The first Pepe flyers sold out in 3 days. That's more than 1.5 Bitcoin. It was a great, very successful trial run. I can't wait to see what's next out of that. SatsCrap a vibrant community, a place to sell anything. The AI stuff, which I would personally, that's really cool. I've never sold anything on there. I'm a big let's take it to Goodwill guy, but I think I will try it for a few things that I have going on here. So we don't want to get into too much, but if you are reading our deal memo, you'll see that even through this terrible time, Scarce City's numbers have been incredible as far as their volume goes. They're not a cash burning company. They do everything very smart. They've delayed a lot of hiring. I still don't think they have a dedicated real marketing person. They've been trying to do this since I first met them, someone to plan out a lot of these conferences and to run them. It takes a lot of work. Let me just say one more thing, Chris. I want to turn it over to you. So when you have an event in person, it's so cool because you get to see this stuff in person. But then as the auctions are winding down, many of the bidders are nowhere at the conference. You have this kind of crowd in front of you. You had Theo Goodman or yourself doing kind of the live auction stuff, which I think is super entertaining and fun to watch. But many of the winners are not actually present. So it's a double-edged sword because you get to be at this conference. New people are discovering, you get some bids, but most of these are sold to people who aren't there. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it goes back to successful auctions. They make it as easy as possible for anyone to bid. That's how the free market achieves a price it should. So that's always our goal with our auctions. Anyone with an internet connected device can participate from anywhere in the world. Now, of course, there's so much we can do with the physical space when we have these events. We're just scratching the surface at what's possible there. As was pretty clear from this slide here, we have a bare bones team. As part of the use of funds, we want to hire an all-star marketer, an events person, and media person to really get the full potential out of the great just content that we're naturally creating for these experiences. So, so much potential with that. But yeah, that's the game at the end of the day. Let's make it as easy as possible for buyers and sellers to come together, transact in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is already, as long as you have Bitcoin, it's so easy. It's so natural for transacting over the internet. And we are the platform, the marketplace, the auction house that facilitates that trading.
Love it. These are some new people that are fairly new since we first got involved with you. Hey, there we are. Very cool. Awesome. All right. Look, I think this was good and we're under an hour. Beautiful. Chris, do you have anything to leave anyone on? Any teasers, anything that you want to say? Where are you going to be next? Do you have any in-person conferences or events planned the rest of this year? I know you're going to take it easy a little bit on some of that stuff, but what are some of the plans?
Yeah, there's a bunch of events that we want to be at. We're hoping to be at BitBlock Boom in August. October is a full schedule. Amsterdam, Pacific Bitcoin, hopefully Lugano again. Definitely want to be in Vegas in December for Unconfiscatable. So we have a packed schedule. We have a very exciting year ahead of us. But I think the most important to leave you here with is let's just zoom out for a second. Right now, we're 2 years into a grueling bear market. And it's like kind of the boring part of the bear market. And even though we found a lot of momentum in that bear market, it's still a bear market for us. Our collectors suffered through this. Our artists have suffered through this. And it's just hard for everybody. But if we look out 2 years from now, if Bitcoin adoption cycle plays out as it has in the past, then what we're going to see is a lot more wealthy Bitcoiners. We're going to see a lot more people who are really just want to earn Bitcoin in any way they can. And we're going to see many companies that realize they're underexposed to Bitcoin, whether Bitcoin commerce specifically, whether they're just Bitcoin companies outside of commerce or they're traditional commerce companies that realize they need to get into Bitcoin. And we are planting the seeds now in the most valuable sectors of commerce to create the next generation of brands, of commerce brands and products that are authentic to Bitcoin. While it can be tough going through just the day to day, the gloom of the bear, I'm super optimistic for where all of this is going. We're so bullish on Bitcoin and we're so bullish on Bitcoin commerce. And that's the future that we're planning for today.
And there's just one more thing that I will add that I probably should have said right at the onset. One of the coolest things about Scarce and everything that they do is 100% of their revenue is in Bitcoin. 100% of their revenue is in Bitcoin. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but let's just say nearly 100% of their corporate treasury, okay, is held in Bitcoin. And we're not talking about a small slice or a small percent like some other Bitcoin companies and startups, but like nearly 100, as much of a YOLO as you can get with your corporate treasury in Bitcoin. I know because I see a big smile on Arian's face every once in a while when we get those price pumps. By investing in Bitcoin startups, we're all early. We're very early to Bitcoin. We're early to people that are building these cool, unique, novel products and services that focus on the Bitcoin ecosystem. You have indirect exposure to the underlying asset through companies like Scarce City, who holds a significant portion of their treasury in Bitcoin. Not only that, but when the price does pump and when we hit new all-time highs, it's like going back to the future for the months previously when you redisplay and refigure those older charts in fiat terms, because you didn't have X amount of dollars 7 months ago, right? Based on the Bitcoin that you held, those numbers all change. And they're probably going to make the best use case for going back on that too. So probably should have said that earlier, but it's a really cool, important fact to note about Scarce City and their revenue model and what they're doing. I know that they've talked about taking fiat cards and things for a while, but it hasn't happened. And you know what? Who cares? Keep it this way.
That's right. We're fundamentally a Bitcoin company. All of our revenue is in Bitcoin. We do have costs in fiat, and we've used past fundraisers to pay for those costs. We have had to sell a little bit of Bitcoin along the way to finance operations, but we don't like to sell Bitcoin. We don't sell any more Bitcoin than we have to. So yeah, we've done, I think I'm proud of what we've done in accumulating Bitcoin over the past 3 years. And not only does it just make us stronger, we don't have to worry about bank failures, that's for sure. But it also, again, our expectations for Bitcoin play out, it opens up a ton of opportunity for us to use that Bitcoin if and when we feel like the price is fairly valued, which we don't feel like it is right now. So yeah, that's the goal. We're accumulating Bitcoin, we're stacking sats, and we're using it to build a company that is fundamental to Bitcoin.
All right. Awesome, Chris. Listen, thanks for hanging. And I'm glad that we got to make up for not being able to do a video last time. And we'll all hang out again real soon in person, I hope.
Awesome, Mike. Thanks so much, man. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
All right. You too, buddy. Bye.
Take care.